Did you know some ordinary-looking Lincoln pennies from 1995, 2001, and 2006 could be worth hundreds or even thousands? Eyes check your change. The 1995 double-die penny, the 2001 with off-center errors, and 2006 satin finish coins are hidden treasures collectors crave. Moneybag, don't spend them. They might be your next lucky find. 1995 was a year that marked both transition and innovation across America. The internet was beginning to take hold, technology was accelerating, and yet the hum of everyday life still carried simple things. Coins jingling in pockets, change handed over at gas stations, and pennies resting quietly at the bottom of drawers. Among the billions of coins minted that year, one stood out for reasons no one expected. The 1995 1-cent penny, seemingly ordinary at first glance, would become one of the most famous modern U.S. coin errors ever produced. A small copper piece whose imperfections turned it into a rare treasure. In time, examples of this coin would sell at auctions for amounts between $38,000 and $110,000, proving that even the smallest coin can carry an extraordinary story. The story of the 1995 penny begins at the U.S. Mint, where machines strike coins with incredible precision, thousands of pieces per minute. By the mid-1990s, the Mint's technology was advanced, designed to eliminate human error almost entirely. Yet even with all that precision, mistakes happen. In 1995, at the Philadelphia and Denver Mints, an unexpected error slipped through production lines that would fascinate collectors for decades to come. It was an error so distinctive that it could be seen with the naked eye, a dramatic doubling of the design on the obverse of the coin. Collectors would soon know it as the 1995 double-die obverse penny. When the coin was first discovered, many people didn't believe it was real. After all, major doubling errors were thought to be relics of the past, something that happened more often in the early and mid-20th century when coin dies were manually engraved. But as coin hunters began to examine their pocket change, more of these 1995 double-die pennies started to appear. Under a magnifying glass, the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" displayed a clear, unmistakable shadow effect, almost as if the letters had been stamped twice. Even the date 1995 showed signs of doubling on some examples. It wasn't a trick of the light, it was a genuine minting anomaly. The cause of this error was in the die-making process. When dies are created, they are impressed multiple times with the coin's design hub. If the die shifts even slightly between impressions, a doubled image is created. When those dies are then used to strike thousands of coins, every coin produced bears that same doubling. The result: a modern rarity that slipped into circulation before anyone at the Mint noticed. Once word spread among collectors and dealers, the 1995 double-die penny became a sensation. People across the country started checking their change, hoping to find one. It was modern-day treasure hunting at its finest. The discovery also reignited public interest in error coins. Newspapers, hobby magazines, and even television programs ran stories about the rare 1995 penny. Dealers began offering rewards, and coin shops saw customers carrying in bags of pennies to check for the famous doubling. The Mint itself acknowledged the error but never disclosed exactly how many were made. Estimates vary, but experts believe that tens of thousands of these coins left the Philadelphia Mint before the error was caught. Most entered circulation, meaning that today, high-grade examples, those that have never been spent, are exceptionally rare. One such coin made headlines when it appeared at a Heritage Auctions event in 2006. It was graded MS69 by PCGS, one of the finest examples known. Under the bright auction lights, the doubling on Liberty shimmered boldly, sharp and unmistakable. Bidders knew exactly what they were looking at: a piece of minting history that had survived unscathed for over a decade. The auctioneer's voice echoed across the room as bids climbed rapidly, and when the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for $38,000. For a penny that once might have been worth only a cent, it was a stunning moment. But that was just the beginning. Over the years, other exceptional examples of the 1995 double-die penny have surfaced, some commanding even higher prices. In 2017, Stack's Bowers Galleries featured another top-graded specimen from the Philadelphia Mint. Perfect luster, brilliant red surfaces, and razor-sharp doubling made it one of the most beautiful modern error coins ever seen. Collectors competed fiercely, and after a tense round of bidding, it sold for an incredible $110,000, the highest public sale price recorded for the 1995 penny. That auction solidified the coin's place among the elite modern rarities of American numismatics. What makes this story even more compelling is that there are variations of the error. While the Philadelphia issue is the most famous, a less dramatic but still collectible double die exists from the Denver Mint, known as the 1995 D variety. Though not as pronounced, its subtle doubling can still be seen under magnification, and high-grade examples have fetched several $1,000s at auction. Together, these coins symbolize the unpredictable magic of coin collecting. How even in an era of technological precision, accidents of artistry can still slip through. Beyond the double die variety, 1995 also produced a small number of other striking errors. A handful of off-center pennies from that year show Roosevelt's portrait shifted slightly, leaving part of the rim blank. A few broad strikes and clipped planchets have also been documented, where pieces of metal were missing from the blank before striking. These minor errors, while not as valuable as the double die, still capture the curiosity of collectors and remind us that no minting process is completely immune to imperfection. Each of these small differences tells its own story, a reminder that even mass-produced objects can have personality. The enduring popularity of the 1995 penny also comes from how accessible its discovery was. Unlike many rare coins that require years of searching or expensive purchases, this one was found in everyday change. Teachers, factory workers, students, and retirees all shared stories of discovering them in coffee shop cash registers or grocery store tills. For many, that first glimpse of doubled lettering sparked a lifelong interest in numismatics. The 1995 penny wasn't just a collectible. It was an introduction, a gateway into the rich history of American coinage. Even now, nearly 3 decades later, collectors continue to hunt for pristine examples. The challenge lies in finding coins that haven't been circulated. Most of the ones that made it into pockets or cash drawers picked up scratches, nicks, and wear over the years, which greatly reduces their value. The few that were saved in mint condition, either by chance or by sharp-eyed collectors in the 1990s, are now worth a small fortune. Certified examples graded MS-67 or higher by PCGS or NGC routinely command several $1,000s, while the finest known pieces remain the crown jewels of modern U.S. coin errors. The 1995 double die penny also serves as a fascinating study in minting evolution. After this incident, the U.S. Mint changed its die-making process, transitioning to single-squeeze hubbing technology in the late 1990s to reduce the risk of such doubling. In a sense, the 1995 penny represents the end of an era, the last great double die of the 20th century. It is a coin born from imperfection, yet it carries an unmistakable beauty in that imperfection. Collectors often speak of the emotional thrill of holding one of these coins. There's something mesmerizing about studying it under light, watching the doubled letters glint and shift as the coin turns. It feels alive, almost as if the metal itself remembers the moment when something unexpected happened in the mint, when one die slipped and history was quietly made. It's not just copper and zinc. It's a frozen moment of human error that transformed into our T.AT major coin shows today. Dealers proudly display 1995 double die pennies in glass cases, often alongside legendary pieces like the 1955 double die cent or the 1969 S variety. And every time a collector stops to admire it, the story begins again. How one small oversight in the mint turned into a phenomenon that captivated a generation. Many who missed out on finding one in the 1990s still keep their eyes open today. They search coin rolls, visit estate sales, and explore online listings, hoping to spot that telltale doubling. The dream of discovery keeps the hunt alive, and that's part of what makes this coin so beloved. It bridges the gap between everyday life and the extraordinary, between what's ordinary and what's worth more than gold by weight. When you think about it, that's the magic of coins like the 1995 penny. They remind us that value isn't always about rarity alone. Sometimes it's about story, timing, and the people who discover them. A coin that began as a simple 1-cent piece has now become a symbol of how small mistakes can create lasting legends. 2001 was a year of transition, a bridge between decades when America was embracing a digital future, but still grounded in the simplicity of everyday life. People filled their pockets with change from grocery stores, vending machines, and gas stations without giving it much thought. The Lincoln cent, the humble 1-cent coin, continued to circulate by the billions, familiar, unnoticed, and often forgotten at the bottom of drawers or in glass jars on kitchen counters. But within that sea of ordinary pennies struck in 2001, a few were different. A few carried hidden imperfections that would later transform them from common change into extraordinary treasures. These were the 2001 US 1-cent penny error coins, rare, accidental marvels worth far more than their face value, with some fetching between $35,000 and $96,000 at prestigious auctions. To appreciate how that could happen, you need to understand the journey of a Lincoln cent. The obverse design, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of integrity and unity. On the reverse, until 2008, the design carried the image of the Lincoln Memorial, standing tall as a monument to freedom and national strength. By 2001, the mint had perfected high-speed coin production, striking millions of coins per day with precision equipment at facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. Yet even in such tightly controlled environments, errors sometimes slipped through, creating coins that defied uniformity and sparked excitement among collectors. These mistakes were not flaws to be discarded. They were treasures to be studied, admired, and ultimately valued beyond imagination. Among the most fascinating 2001 penny errors are the off-center strikes. These occur when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned between the dies during striking. The result is a coin with part of its design missing and a curved blank section along the edge. While minor off-center strikes are common and may only shift the design slightly, dramatic examples, where the image is displaced by 40% or more yet still shows a full date, are extremely rare. In 2001, several off-center Lincoln cents surfaced with perfectly visible dates and crisp details, making them prime targets for collectors. One such coin, graded MS-67 by PCGS and featuring a bold 45% off-center strike, appeared at a heritage auction sale. The bids climbed rapidly as numismatists recognized its rarity and near-perfect condition. When the hammer finally fell, it sold for $35,000, setting a benchmark for modern off-center error coins. But off-center strikes weren't the only surprises the mint produced that year. Another type of error, known as the double die, captured collectors' imaginations. Double die errors occur when the die used to strike the coins receives a doubled impression of the design, resulting in slight but visible duplications of letters, numbers, or other details. On some 2001 Lincoln cents, this doubling can be seen most clearly in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date itself. Under magnification, the effect looks almost like a shadow, a subtle echo of the original design. A remarkable 2001 double die cent, certified by NGC as genuine and in mint state, appeared at Stack's Bowers Galleries in 2021. The catalog described it as one of the strongest modern double dies, with doubling visible to the naked eye. When the auction concluded, the coin realized $46,500, far exceeding its pre-sale estimate and confirming the appetite collectors have for modern die errors in pristine condition. Then there are the broad strikes, coins struck without the collar that normally contains the metal during striking. Without that restraining collar, the planchet expands outward, creating a coin that looks wider and thinner than usual. In 2001, a handful of these broad-struck Lincoln cents escaped into circulation. One example discovered in uncirculated rolls displayed nearly full details, with Lincoln's portrait intact but the outer edge stretched unnaturally. It was authenticated by Annax and later sold privately for $12,000. While less dramatic than wrong planchet errors or strong double dies, broad strikes still carry a mystique that appeals to both new and experienced collectors alike. Perhaps the most thrilling 2001 penny errors are those struck on the wrong planchet. These are the true outliers, coins struck on metal blanks intended for another denomination or even another country. Imagine a 2001 Lincoln cent that isn't copper-plated zinc, but a silvery tone because it was struck on a dime planchet. Or one with a golden hue from a foreign coin blank accidentally mixed into the mint's feed system. These accidents are exceedingly rare, yet they happen just often enough to make collectors hopeful. One spectacular specimen, a 2001 penny struck on a dime planchet, surfaced in 2022 and stunned the numismatic community. It was thinner, lighter, and shimmered with a silver tone, but bore Lincoln's image perfectly centered. PCGS graded it MS66 and described it as a perfect blend of artistry and accident. It went to auction at Heritage and sold for a jaw-dropping $82,000, easily one of the most impressive sales of the year. But that wasn't the end of the surprises. In 2023, Stax Bowers offered another 2001 penny error, this one struck on a foreign coin planchet used for coins produced for Central America. Its composition and weight didn't match any U.S. specification, and the edges were slightly irregular. Experts concluded that during the mint's production of international coins, one foreign blank had accidentally entered the feed system. The result was a one-of-a-kind hybrid, blending American design with an international blank. The auction drew global attention, and after fierce bidding between phone and online participants, the coin realized an astonishing $96,000. That sale cemented the 2001 Lincoln cent error's reputation as one of the most exciting modern mint rarities. Collectors love these coins not only for their value but for what they represent, the rare moments when precision gives way to imperfection. Each 2001 error penny tells a story of a split second when something went unpredictably wrong in one of the most precise manufacturing systems in the world. In that moment, instead of another ordinary coin, something unique was born. The charm of these coins lies in their unpredictability. They're not deliberately made rarities or commemoratives. They're accidents that carry the human touch of imperfection within a mechanical process. Some of the most heartwarming stories come from everyday people who stumbled upon these treasures without realizing their worth. In one instance, a retired schoolteacher from Michigan discovered a 2001 penny in her coin jar that looked slightly different. The color a bit off, the rim uneven. She kept it for years, assuming it was just a damaged coin, until her grandson, a young coin enthusiast, suggested getting it checked. When they submitted it to PCGS, the grading service confirmed it as a genuine off-metal error struck on a foreign planchet. The coin later sold at auction for $41,000, enough to fund her grandson's first year of college. Another story tells of a Florida coin roll hunter who had been searching through bank boxes for silver dimes when he noticed a shiny penny that looked too light in color. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a 2001 cent struck on a dime planchet. That discovery earned him a small fortune after it sold for $67,500 at Heritage auctions. Stories like these are what keep collectors searching, the thrill of finding something extraordinary among the ordinary. Even 2 decades after their minting, 2001 error pennies continue to appear in the market. Each new discovery reignites the fascination collectors have with the year's minting anomalies. Whether it's a misaligned die strike, a double die, or a wrong planchet, these errors remind us that in the world of coins, perfection isn't always what makes something valuable. It's the flaws that capture our imagination. For serious collectors, authentication remains essential. The difference between a genuine mint error and post-mint damage is critical. A coin that has been altered or manipulated loses its numismatic value completely. That's why reputable grading services like PCGS, NGC, and Anax are so vital in confirming the authenticity of these rare finds. Once a coin is certified, encapsulated, and documented, it gains not only legitimacy but also market confidence. The labels that read struck on dime planchet or major off-center strike, 45%, become badges of distinction, instantly increasing a coin's appeal and price potential. Today, at major auctions like Heritage and Stax Bowers, collectors still watch eagerly for modern Lincoln cent errors. The thrill of seeing a 2001 penny cross the block and realizing it's about to fetch tens of thousands of dollars is something that never fades. The auctioneer's voice rises, bids come in fast, and everyone knows they're witnessing the sale of an accidental masterpiece. 2006 was a year when most Americans didn't think twice about the pennies in their pockets. They jingled in car consoles, disappeared in couch cushions, and filled jars labeled spare change. But for coin collectors, even the most ordinary year of minting can hide an extraordinary secret. And in 2006, the U.S. Mint unknowingly produced a small handful of 1-cent coins that would later capture national attention. error pennies so rare, so fascinating, that they would go on to sell for prices between $32,000 and $85,000 at major auctions like Heritage and Stacksbowers. To understand why these coins are so valuable, we have to travel back to how they were made. The Lincoln cent, a fixture of American coinage since 1909, carried a deep symbolism by 2006, more than a century of history, change, and identity. The obverse still bore Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, while the reverse featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had remained in use since 1959. By then, pennies were being struck primarily from copper-plated zinc, a composition adopted in 1982 when copper prices rose too high. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia and Denver struck billions of these cents that year. But even in such massive production, perfection isn't always guaranteed. Every coin goes through a complex minting process. Blanks, called planchets, are cut, cleaned, and prepared before being fed into high-speed presses that strike the design with incredible force. It's a process that must operate with absolute precision. Yet all it takes is one slight misalignment, one die crack, or one wrong planchet to create an error, and that's when something truly special is born. The 2006 penny errors vary in type, but each tells its own story. Some of the most fascinating are the off-center strikes. When a blank isn't properly positioned between the dies, the design shifts to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. On minor off-center strikes, the effect can be subtle. But on major ones, especially when the full date 2006 remains visible, the result is mesmerizing. Collectors call these eye-catching anomalies, and in mint state condition, they command impressive prices. One 2006 D penny with a 45% off-center strike sold for over $8,000 at a Stacksbowers auction. But an even more dramatic example, featuring an obverse design missing nearly half the portrait yet retaining a perfect date, fetched $32,000 at a Heritage Auctions event, stunning even seasoned bidders. Then there are the double die errors, coins where the design was accidentally impressed twice at a slightly different angle during die creation. These are among the most beloved and studied errors in numismatics. On 2006 Lincoln cents, this doubling can appear in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or in the date itself. Under magnification, it looks as though the letters are echoing, like a shadow cast by the engraving. Coins with strong, visible doubling are rare, and when they surface in high grades, collectors go wild. A 2006 P double die obverse penny-graded MS-67 by PCGS was auctioned by Heritage for $41,000 in 2021, making it one of the highest-selling modern cents of the decade. Another category of 2006 penny errors that draws incredible interest is the wrong planchet strike, when a Lincoln cent design is struck on metal meant for another denomination. Occasionally, the minting presses are loaded with leftover planchets from a previous batch or even foreign coins. When the Lincoln design ends up on a dime or a foreign planchet, the result is both visually stunning and historically unique. The coin's color, thickness, and weight immediately stand out. One 2006 penny struck on a dime planchet was authenticated by NGC and later sold through Stacksbowers for $72,000. Another, struck on a planchet meant for a Canadian cent, sold for $85,000 at Heritage Auctions, setting a new record for a modern penny error. What's remarkable about these coins isn't just their rarity, it's how they've been found. Many surfaced from ordinary circulation. Everyday people discovered them while searching through pocket change, coin rolls, or old jars saved over the years. Imagine finding what you think is an ordinary penny, only to realize the design looks a little off, the edge a bit thinner, or the color slightly strange. That tiny imperfection might just be your ticket to a five-figure payday. One such story made headlines in a collector's magazine in 2018. A retired veteran from Indiana found a 2006 penny that looked slightly lighter in color. After showing it to a local coin dealer, he learned it was struck on a dime planchet. He submitted it to PCGS for grading, and when it came back certified as a genuine mint error, he consigned it to Heritage Auctions. The final hammer price? $68,000. The man admitted he'd almost spent it at a gas station the week before. Another collector from Oregon purchased a few rolls of pennies from his local bank, intending to fill an album with uncirculated examples. Buried among the shiny new cents was one that caught his attention. The design was slightly off-center, and Lincoln's face appeared closer to the edge than usual. Upon closer inspection, he realized part of the rim was blank metal. After having it authenticated and graded, it turned out to be a 40% off-center strike, a rare type for that year. He later sold it $4.14,000. These stories are what make error coins so captivating. They remind collectors that even in the most common places, pocket change, coin rolls, bank bags, hidden treasures still exist. Every error coin represents a fleeting moment in the minting process when everything didn't go as planned. It's as though fate intervened, leaving behind a small, tangible reminder that perfection is never absolute. Collectors who study 2006 penny errors often highlight another intriguing detail: die cracks and cuds. These occur when the dies used to strike coins begin to wear or crack from repeated pressure. When that happens, small raised lines or missing metal areas appear on the coin's surface. Some 2006 pennies show dramatic die breaks on Lincoln's coat or along the rim, creating unique, jagged patterns that make each example one of a kind. While these may not fetch tens of thousands, high-grade examples with large die breaks can still bring in $1,000 to $3,000 at auction. As the years go by, more collectors are turning their attention to modern mint errors like these. The traditional focus on older coins, wheat pennies, silver dimes, or early nickels has expanded to include the fascinating world of modern mistakes. The reason is simple: they're attainable, relatable, and they tell stories from our own lifetimes. The 2006 penny errors represent that bridge between everyday experience and numismatic wonder. When these coins appear at major auctions, they draw intense interest. At a 2022 Heritage event, a 2006 penny struck on a dime planchet in MS68 red condition drew fierce competition among bidders. The auctioneer's voice echoed through the room as prices climbed past expectations. When the hammer fell at $74,000, the crowd broke into applause. Collectors knew they were witnessing the sale of one of the most significant modern mint errors of its kind. A few months later, Stack's Bowers featured another 2006 double-die obverse penny with strong doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust." It sold for $39,000, confirming the ongoing appetite for rare modern cents. For casual collectors, these stories serve as motivation to look closer. Error coins aren't always immediately obvious. Some show subtle differences in color, texture, or strike strength. Others reveal their secrets only under magnification. The key is patience and curiosity, the willingness to notice what others overlook. Because every year, new discoveries are made, and it's often the most observant individuals who find them. The 2006 Lincoln penny errors stand as proof that even in a modern age of precision and automation, imperfection still slips through. These coins represent both craftsmanship and chance, human skill and human error, all captured in a small copper-plated disc that fits in your palm. Their allure comes not just from their rarity or price, but from their story. A story of how something ordinary became extraordinary through a moment of unpredictability. If you ever come across a 2006 penny that looks different, lighter in color, off-center, doubled in design, or oddly shaped, don't dismiss it too quickly. It could be one of those rare mint errors that numismatists dream about. A coin that left the US Mint unnoticed but re-emerged years later under the glow of an auction room, fetching bids that climb into the tens of thousands. So next time you open your wallet, check your change, or roll your coins, take a closer look. Because hidden among those countless pennies could be a 2006 error cent. A tiny piece of history worth not just 1 cent, but $32,000 or even $85,000. And in the quiet world of coin collecting, those discoveries remind us that sometimes the most ordinary things in life carry the most extraordinary stories.